Hello everyone and welcome to our Divi feature update live stream. We stream every Monday at 6 a.m. Eastern, so I'm really excited today to once again bring you a brand new feature in Divi, which was released last week. And this feature is really to do with CSS editing, and this is something that you developers out there will definitely be happy about, because there are a lot of features that comes with it, and this is what we'll be going through today. Now, throughout my web design with Divi, I mainly rely on the Divi builder itself to come up with my designs, because pretty much I can do most of the things I need to do. But there are cases where you need to go in and make to make specific tweaks as you're designing your website. And this update here makes things even better, because we have a new fully featured code editor, right? So that means for those developers out there, you know, if you use code editors like Node++, it does the syntax highlighting. This is now in there in Divi. It also has autocomplete, inline color picker. So there's a lot of things that we can be excited about in this brand new feature. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to go through some of these features and highlight them and just show you pretty much what we can do. However, having said that, I will not be going through a tutorial about CSS. This is mainly just highlighting what this brand new featured code editor in Divi can do. So right now I can see that a lot of you are already tuning in. So before we get started, I'd just like to say thank you very much for those of you who are just joining us. And here I can see we have Paul. Actually, we have Paul. We have private saying he's from South Africa. Awesome. Thank you very much for tuning in. We also have Crafts PK saying hi. We have Claudia. Can't read that name. Sham, I think. Yeah, Sham. We also have private saying, please show me how to make the tweaks. I'm not good with coding yet. Okay, now as I mentioned briefly, today I'm just showing you the highlights of this fully featured code editor, but it's not a lesson on CSS. Okay, I'll just be showing you how you can use this editor as you're designing your websites. Okay, we also have Carmen, Islam, we have Jerick. I hope I'm pronouncing these names correctly, so sorry about that if I'm not pronouncing them correctly. We have Sandro. We have Paul saying hi from Leicester. Oh, it's nice to Paul, for you to join us from here in the UK. Awesome, appreciate that. We also have Islam, Brad, Fernando from Spain. Oh, we also have Brand from Reading. Again, I noticed that this is the UK. Thank you very much for tuning in. Now I think we're getting more and more people from the UK joining us. That really puts a smile on my face. Not that I don't enjoy people coming from different countries, but it's always cool that here locally as well in the UK, people are also tuning in. So thanks a lot for tuning in. Dave from Montreal. Can't pronounce his name. Is it Rila? Saying, does this has anything to do with the in-page CSS, because Divi fails a lot on this, at least mine, even having it enabled on the Divi options. Okay, oh, we have someone from Iceland. Is it Aina? Awesome, thank you very much for tuning in. All right, so what we're going to do now is, oh, in fact, we are broadcasting on YouTube and also on Facebook. So let me take a look here on Facebook. Wow, we also have people tuning in here from Facebook. This is awesome. We have Do Dong, I think, from the Philippines. Thank you very much for tuning in. We also have Rohan Levy saying, interested in knowing, do you guys ever sleep? Now, to be honest with you, we do sleep, but because we love Divi so much and we love working on all these features, yeah, our sleep is, I would say, affected a little bit. Awesome. Uncle Social on Facebook is saying I'm everywhere. I can see that, Uncle Social. I've seen your name on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter as well. So yes, you are everywhere. Jeff as well has just joined us. Thank you very much for tuning in. Okay, so let's get started now and go through the show. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to go to my WordPress install, and I'm going to start by, oh, I can see here there's a camera showing. That's not supposed to be showing. Okay, all right, that's fixed now. Okay, what I'm going to do here is to start by creating just a brand new page and work on one of the modules that we can do some changes to. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to come over here and click on Add New to add a new page. I'm just going to call this CSS update. I think that will do. Right, I'm going to click on Use the Divi Builder, and then I'm just going to go into the Visual Builder. So I'm going to start my page with creating my columns. So I'm going to choose, okay, let me go ahead with this. And then I'm going to add a people module, a person module. Okay, I'm going to select it. And then I'm just going to put some basic information into this. So I'm going to add a name. So, okay, let me add my name there. Position. Okay, like, okay, content creator, Facebook URL. I'm just going to add a blank link in here. Okay, like that. Right, so for a description here, I'm just going to open a new tab and go to Lorem 2, because as you can see, I'm not very good at typing fast. So I'll just copy some text here and paste it in place. But of course, in your case, if you are building this, you would have to type the information in these areas. Right, so I'm going to come over here to my image URL and add an image. So let's see what image I'm going to add. Right, okay, let me go with this image here, because if I start looking for my own image, it's going to take long for me to get it. Okay. Right, background, let's add a background color as well. So let's have a look. Okay, let's go with this for now. Okay, so that's our background color. I'm going to save this for now, and I'm just going to increase the size of my row. Come over here to sizing, custom width. Let's increase that. Okay, in fact, let me reduce this. Okay, right, so I'm happy with that. Now, what you'll notice is when you're designing it this way, yes, we have all these options in the design. So let's say I want to add, or in fact, before I do that, I'm just gonna save this and then go into my person module. Right, so in here, there are several things that we can change. As you've known, as you've seen, we've added the background color. Now, if I come over here to design, I can actually come over here to the text, change this text from dark to light, which is great. Now, let's say I need to add some padding to the top here, okay? Where my name is, because it's quite close to the top. If I come over here to sizing, where we normally go, and add some padding, let's say I add 100. Now, do you notice that this padding now has affected my image and also affected the content that we have there? So this is an example where knowing CSS and knowing where to apply it actually works, because with Divi you can actually go into a specific place and make that change. So in this example here, we can't go in and increase our padding here above my name to make this to increase the spacing there. And also, even if I try to add padding over here on the right, let's try and do that. Okay, let's say 100. Okay, so that works. But on the top here, I would have to go in and tweak that and really get that effect that I need. So to do that, we have to come over here to our Advanced tab and then go into CSS. Now, like me, I don't use a lot of CSS, as I mentioned earlier on. I just pretty much rely on the features that come in with Divi. And to be honest, for us designers, this is fantastic because we don't need to go into a lot of CSS. But for you developers out there who want to really make specific tweaks, this is the extra step that you can go in and make those changes. So over here now, I'm in the Advanced tab and I've clicked on Custom CSS. So you can see here, Divi provides us with all these options of going in and specifically adding CSS to whatever item that we're working with. So right now, I would like to add some padding above my name. So what I'll then need to do is to say, okay, this part here is the member description, right? Come over here, and then we start typing our code. So I want you to take note of what's happening as I'm typing, because this is the fully featured code editor, which has just been updated in Divi. Right, so if I start adding padding like that, do you notice that I have now options that are just popping right there to give me an idea of what I can add. So right now, I can straight away go into padding bottom. And this is great for someone that is learning how to code in CSS. Now, if you notice that we also have this note which says expected colon. So this is teaching me as I am adding my code into my code editor. And for someone that is not really good at CSS or someone that's learning, this is actually really, really good because it's showing me what needs to be done next. So just in case I forget. So this is great. Now, expected colon, right, I'm going to add my column now, like that. Okay, now expected token. So again, as I'm adding my code like this, I know that there's more information that needs to be added on that. Okay, so now let me add my value. So let's say I need to add my CSS. In fact, I need CSS top. That's what we need. So I'm just going to type CSS top. And then if you hit enter, it just selects whatever you've added there. Okay, so let's start with 80 pixels. Okay, notice that now, as soon as I've added that, this has now changed. My name over here has now the padding on the top. Okay, so this is the power of using CSS to specifically make changes to a certain part of your module or your design that you're working on. So this is the feature that makes things easier, and I'm going to also give you more examples so you can see what else we can do with this. Okay, so I've added my padding to the top. So I'm really happy with that. Now, let's move on to something else. Now, before I go into adding even more examples with this feature, I'd like to say if you have any questions, please do add those questions in the comments box and I'll try my best to respond to those questions. But I would appreciate if those questions are to do with this feature, which is the fully featured code editor. So I'm just going to take a look here and see if we have questions at the moment. So right now, I'll have to scroll back to the top and see if there's any questions here. Okay. I'm just going through. Let me just respond to this quick question here. Michael Dennison says, will Divi be around when WordPress 5.0? I think, Michael, you're referring to the Gutenberg. Yes, definitely. We are working behind the scenes, and we are going to have Divi work with the latest Gutenberg or WordPress 5.0, so no need to worry there. Okay. Right. I'm just looking for any questions. Right. Derek says, can you add JavaScript there in there as well? To be honest, Derek, I do not use JavaScript in this. I'm not sure if JavaScript works in this CSS tab, but what I'll do is I could ask the developers and get back to you in regards to that. Okay, let me see if we have any other questions. Sabir says, my Divi theme is not loading on my site. What do I do? Okay, what you sometimes when your Divi theme does not load, it's possibly as a result of maybe some plugins that are conflicting on your website. So what I would normally do is I would disable all the plugins, right? And then try and reload your website. If that works, you can then start switching on all those plugins one by one and then see which one is not working well. And by the way, to get this fully featured code editor, you need to make sure you update to the latest Divi update. So you need to make sure you have that in place for you to have these features. Okay, I hope I've answered that, Sabir. Okay, I'm just going to check here on Facebook and see if we have any questions. Gabriel Ramos says, when will this be available? Now, this feature that I'm going through right now is available as we speak. If you go into your Divi install and do an update, you'll have this feature that I'm going through right now. Awesome. Okay, so let's move on and let's make more changes to our design. So what I'm going to do is I am going to come here. In fact, this is actually great that I'm doing this because I'm actually not very good at CSS, but playing around with this is making me even want to go and learn more of this CSS. So if you're just joining us, this is the Divi Feature Update Live, a show that we cover in detail the updates, the Divi updates, and try and answer your questions throughout the show, and also give you examples of how you can use these updates. So today we are taking a look at the fully featured code editor, which has specific features like syntax highlighting, autocomplete, inline color picker, and so on. So right now I'm just doing a demo just to show you how we can use this fully featured code editor. Okay, so what I'm going to do next now is to apply some styles to my image. So right now on my image here, this is standard. This is what comes out of the box with Divi. But what I want to do is to do something different. I would like this image to show up as a circle. So the code for that is clip path. So I'm going to start typing. Straight away, you can see clip path has shown. I can select it like that. Now I need expected colon. As you can see, it's showing me where I need to add my colon. I add my column like that, and then I'm just going to add circle because that's what I need to do. And again, you can see straight away it has also shown that the circle is what I need to enter. Okay, so I'm just going to hit enter like that, and then I can add my brackets. And straight away it has completed my bracket as well, and you can see there's no suggestions or errors or any of that. So what I can do now is I can start adding my values. So let's say I need to try 30%. Let's see how that looks. There we go. So now I've got a circle, and this is all done using the CSS But we could not do this if we were just using our design features in Divi. So this is just taking Divi to the next level using CSS and custom code. Okay, so 30%, maybe that's a bit too much. Let's try, let's say, maybe 40%. Okay, that's much better. So I'm pretty happy with 40%. So we can see here that there are no errors. So this is great. Now you can also go to the main element and also add even the border radius. So let's start typing. Okay, I'm spelling that, you see. Now, because I spelled it wrong, it does not show up with any suggestions. So, okay, so border. Okay, so that's the word I need. Radius. Okay, there we go. So now I need a colon. Okay, there we go. So straight away, I've just added my border radius, and now we can see it there. And then you can play around with the size as well. Let's say you want this to be, let's say, 10 pixels. Okay, that's a bit subtle now. That's much better. So you can actually go in and do all your tweaks, and this is how it shows. Now, let's say I need to add something else here, like a drop shadow. So, but again, as you're doing this, you need to make sure that you know the coding, or you have an idea of what you need to do. So let me see if this works. So right now, I'm just typing in drop. Right. So definitely, a drop shadow is not a CSS. It's not in the CSS language, so that wouldn't work. So this is where now, as you're learning your CSS, you need to go back and make sure that you know what you're typing in, and this fully featured code editor will help you autocomplete those things that you're working on. So this is how great this is. So again, we can do things like, let's say, background color. Here we go. Now, before I add my color, in fact, you can type in the color like that. And this is one of the great things about this new featured code editor. Now you notice that I've just entered my color there, right? And it's black. Now, do you see this dot right here? I'm not sure if you can see it because I cannot zoom into my screen right now, but there's a dot which is appearing here. If I click on that dot, now I have this color picker. You can see I can now go in and start choosing the color that I would like to use. And not only that, we also have the transparency levels, right? So you can see here, I can play around with the transparency and really customize this to how I want it to look. Now, this is great because sometimes you can add a color, but it's not precise enough as you're designing your website. So by having this color picker now in your CSS editor is huge, okay? I mean, I've tried to use a CSS editor before. I mean, this feature here, as far as I recall, I did not have that, but this is amazing. So this is something that you can actually use as you're doing your CSS. And for developers, this is great news, and I'm sure you really, really love this. Now, as a matter of interest, how many of you actually use how many of you actually use CSS as you're designing your websites? Are you really into the CSS? I'm just curious to find out. So if you use a lot of CSS, manual CSS, please add a 1 in the comments box. If not, you can just add a 0, just to have an idea of how many people actually can see the power of this, and if you think it's a good update. Okay, so I'm just going to take a look and see if we have questions. Right. Oh, I can see already we have quite a few ones coming through. Awesome, awesome, awesome. This is really, really good. Great. Wow. We have a lot of ones. This is awesome. Right. In fact, I thought that majority of people actually just use the normal CSS, the normal Divi features that come with it, and not really use a lot of CSS. But from what I can see right now, this is great. Okay. I can see here, Jarek says this is great for beginners. Absolutely. And to be honest, I'm so inspired by this that I am going to actually go deeper into CSS and really focus more on customizing everything using CSS. So I'm really excited about this as well. So Johan says, I use CSS when I want to design something not available in the Divi settings. Great. So as you can see, this is a great example where these features that I've just been adding are not in the Divi settings. So this is where you can actually go in and customize your website. So this is actually great for a lot of us that are that want to use CSS. Right. So what we're going to do now is, since quite a lot of you are pretty good at CSS, I'm going to ask you to paste in some code which I can use in this design, so we can see this live as I'm doing it on the site. So I would like to say to you, please give me your code snippets that I can actually use in this, and so that we can all see the changes that are coming up in this example. So I'm sure this is going to be quite exciting. So please do type in your code, and then I'm going to try and add that code in. So as you and also please do mention where the code needs to go, because right now if you add your code snippet, you should say to me, okay, it needs to go in the after tab, or it needs to go in the member image or member description, and so on. And then let's see what we can come up with your code that you provide to me on this live show. Okay, so I'm just going to check here on Facebook if there's any questions. Bob says, will this make it easier to add social sites above the nav bar? Absolutely, because this fully featured code editor is not only for the word is just gone out now. It's not just for the modules, okay? It also works on the heading and also on the theme options. So this is also available throughout Divi itself, so you can actually use this in the theme options. So yes, you can use it like that. Gabrielle says, will the CSS look good in most of the browsers? Right, very good question. Now the CSS, you need to test it, and then you need to make it browser compatible, okay? So for those developers out there, I'm sure you can agree with me that something that may work something may look slightly different in Firefox, and when you go to say Chrome, it's going to look slightly different. So there is a way to actually make it look the same throughout, okay? So yes, you'll have to do a lot of double checking to make sure it's looking great on both or all browsers for that matter. Okay. Rohan Levy says, there are a number of us that are not good at CSS at all. I just did a search and found this reference for people like me. Great. This is the W3 schools. Fantastic. Great. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. What I'll also do is I'm going to add this this reference to, in fact, let me show you what it looks like. Why not? So I'm just going to open this in a new tab and just show everyone where we can find this. So this is the reference, and this is great. You can always come into the properties here and then choose what you're working on. So for example, background color, if you click on that, it shows you now, the code that you can use for that. So this is great for CSS. Thank you very much for sharing that link with us. I really, really appreciate it. And like I said, I'm going to add it in the comments box. Let's take a look here. Francisco says, try box shadow In the main box. Okay, brilliant. I'm going to try this code here in the main box. Great. So I'm going to come over here now to my site and use this code snippet that Francisco has given us. Okay. Right. So in the main, just forgot. Did you say main box? Yes, in the main box. Okay, great. So this needs to be added in the main box. So what I'm going to do is to delete all that. I'm going to paste the snippet and see if it works. Right, so something is wrong with this. Expected none. Is it a bracket? Unexpected token. Right, so I'm getting errors now. Francisco, I think something is wrong with this CSS. Let's take a look here and see if I copied it correctly. Yes. So as you can see here, I think something is going wrong. Now, for some of you out there that know how to use CSS, this is great. How do we fix this problem? I mean, I'm getting some errors here. How can we fix this box shadow and make this work? Because I can see here something is wrong, definitely. Or am I missing something? Yes, I don't see the box shadow. Okay, so how do we fix this? I'm going to check the comments now and see how we can resolve this. Okay, so I would like a lot of help from you, please, if you can, so that we can fix this. Oh, hang on. Okay, maybe I am missing something. Okay, I'm just going to check. Okay, we have Rila says no brackets needed. Thank you very much. Let's go ahead and check that and see if it's the brackets issue. Okay, no brackets needed. I'm going to remove the brackets. Oops. Okay, let's remove the brackets here. Okay, I've removed the brackets, but it looks like we still have an issue going on here. Okay, maybe if you can rewrite the code, that could help. I'm just going to check here if Francisco has responded. Oh, Francisco says remove the colons. Okay, let's remove the colons and see what happens. Okay, I think this is where the brackets come, I think. Let's try that. Okay. Okay, definitely something is happening. So let's just check here if okay, I'm going to add the code again. Right. Okay. So this, I'm not sure what's happening there. It's still not working. I've pasted it again. But anyway, let's move on. I've saw another code that we have here. Box shadow. Oh, hang on. Okay, so as you can see here, I'm just copying the code and pasting it. I'm not sure why this is not working though. Let's try this one more time. Oh, there we go. Okay. So that seems to have worked. Not sure what's different here. But anyway, the point is, if you enter your code and something is wrong with the code, you will see an error, and you would have to go in and find out what that error is and then try and fix it. Okay, let's do one more example here, because I can see there were also more items that we were given here to work with. So let's see. Right. Okay, we've done the box shadow. Okay, let's take a look here on Facebook and see. Okay, we don't have any more examples, but I'm sure. Okay, so Rila, your question now here is about the inline CSS. To be honest, the answer to that, in fact, let me find your question. Your question is how this thing works with inline CSS. Now, to be honest, I don't have a definite answer for that, but I think your CSS has to be added in manually. So, but I'll need to verify that and maybe leave a response in the comments box after the show. So I'm not 100% sure on that, but this is something that I need to get back to you on. So yes, that's that. Yes, as I just mentioned, I don't have a definite answer for that, so I will ask the developers and leave the response in the comments box after the show. Okay, let's take a look here and see if there's any more questions here on Facebook. Uncle Social says we are all learning together today. Awesome, awesome. Yes, we are. Okay, so if you're just joining us, this is the Divi Feature Update Live, a show where we cover in depth the updates to Divi. And the idea here is to pretty much highlight all the main features of that update and help you use it better in your designs, and also answer some questions if you have any throughout the show. So today we're pretty much talking about the fully featured code editor, which has just been added. To get that update, you need to make sure you update Divi. As soon as you've updated it, you will have the fully featured code editor. So what this code editor does is it does some syntax highlighting. It also does autocomplete. It also has an inline color picker. So this is a great feature, especially to anyone that's learning CSS or to you developers out there. Now, the reason why this update is very important is because it helps you work faster and more accurately. So if you have any errors, if you've noticed a few moments ago, if there's any errors, the code will show you that there's an error and it doesn't work. Now, before, if you added code which was not correct or was missing something, it didn't show you that something was wrong. So you would have to pretty much do a lot more troubleshooting to find what the problem is. But with this, you don't have to wait until you've published the site to see if that something is not working. It will show you where the problem is, and then you have to fix that before you actually push your updates on your website. So this is a great feature, especially for anyone that does custom CSS code or any developers out there. So this is great, and I'm sure you'll be using this using this feature as you design your websites moving forward. So what are we going to do? We're coming to the end of our show. I'm going to take a look again quickly and see if we have any more questions, and then try and address those before we complete the show. Okay. Okay, so no questions there on YouTube. Let's take a look here. Okay, looks like we don't have questions here. Lara says, thank you very much, dear Mac. Oh, appreciate it. Thank you. Piers says, will this work with jQuery? Again, I am not sure. I don't use jQuery myself, but this is the CSS editor. So I would have to get back to you on that, but I'm not sure if the jQuery or JavaScript works in with our CSS editor. Okay, so let's take a look here. All right, so let me check one more time. Pixel Push Media says, will this affect the performance of the website overall? The answer to that is no. The CSS itself does not necessarily slow down your website. There are also other factors that slow down your website, like, for example, if you update images to your website that are not updated, that are not optimized. Yes, those are certain things that could slow down your website, but the CSS alone here, it does not. This just styles your website. It doesn't really bloat your website or cause it to be slower in any way. So I would say go ahead and still apply CSS to your website. It does not have a performance issue moving forward. Okay, and also I can see Rila has just responded to that as well, saying pretty much what I'm saying, that CSS has nothing to do with performance. So great, thank you very much for responding to that, Rila, as well. Appreciate it. It's always good when we have members of our community also helping others. This is great because, I don't know everything. I'll try and cover as much as I can. But if anyone out there has great answers, I really appreciate you also responding and helping others in the community. Thank you very much for that. Yes, and Rila also says it could affect too if you call an image from another source which is not from your server, and that server is slow, and that's correct too. Okay, so I'd like to say to everyone that has tuned in today for our Monday live show, thank you very much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I enjoy coming here live and doing this show for you because I also get to learn a lot from you guys as well, and get to, hang out on a Monday morning as we talk web design and Divi. So I'd like to say next week, do tune in again, same time, 6 a.m. Eastern, and as we do our Divi feature update live again next week. So thank you very much for tuning in, and hope you have a great rest of the week, and I will see you on Monday. Take care.